And we're back, and as promised, we have Dr. Gregory Firn, who is the COO at RoboKind LLC. He's had 34 years of work in education combined with his passion for working with underrepresented groups and improving their educational opportunities. And so he leads and supports robots for autism and robots for STEM to create and sustain life-changing impact.
Absolutely, and we welcome Dr. Firn to the show. We're so thrilled to have you here. You may or may not know that we're big fans of RoboKind and have had Milo on the show, I think, 3 times now.
Well, thank you. He's actually pretty jealous right now that he is not on, and you can see over my shoulder his twin sister Robin, and then he has a twin brother Jet that's back there as well. But they're looking over my shoulder, making sure that I don't say anything incorrect or I don't embarrass myself, because as you know, when they respond to things, they do it perfectly every time. I'm human, so I make mistakes.
I love that. Well, you're a pretty interesting guy because your background before RoboKind, you were a superintendent of schools. You've got a ginormous education background. Who better to be the COO at RoboKind, because these robots have more and more to do with school. But let's back up for a second and talk about why robots for autism and Milo in particular were created.
So, great question. Thank you, by the way. My mother loves all of those really nice accolades. She appreciates those. So thanks, Mom, for sending those in. Milo, I believe you know this, but for your listeners and those that are tuning in, Milo was designed to work with individuals with autism. So everything about him, in terms of his rate of speech, which is approximately 82% rather than 100% like what we do, his visual support to show on his chest plate, the video modeling, all of that was designed specifically to work with individuals with autism. So from its get-go, Richard Margolin, who designed and created Milo, was approached by Dr. Pamela Rollins at the University of Texas, Dallas, the Collier Center, and she's posited that individuals with autism would embrace and engage with a humanoid, facially expressive humanoid robot at a far greater percent than just with a human. And that, through several years, 3 years of clinical trials and development, really tested true. And it's not that Milo takes the place, because he doesn't replace humans. We know that generalizing to human interaction is our goal, and is certainly the target for us. Milo, because of his design, creates that level of engagement, a bridge, if you will, to help communicate as well as create coherence for individuals on the spectrum. So that's why Milo, and we've certainly proven that now over and over again over the past several years, both from a clinical setting, but also in the public schools, private practice, therapy clinics, and in hospitals. So we're very pleased with the effect that Milo creates.
Okay.
Do you want to ask the next one?
What was it about the state of how students on the spectrum were being educated that made you realize that this needed to be a change? There needed to be a change.
Well, I think the disappointment with the lack of progress in many cases. Why weren't students or individuals acquiring these skill sets faster, more effectively? And I think probably that was a key motivator. The other is how to do it efficiently and effectively. As you know, with robotic technology, especially as what Milo represents, is being able to repeat a lesson perfectly over and over again. And we know with neural processing that what is necessary is sometimes a lesson being repeated 10 to 20 to sometimes 30 times for that coherence to take place, where an individual actually has mastered the targeted behavior. Humanly, we can do that, but as you probably know, or I know firsthand, I can't repeat myself with the same gestures, the same way, in the same manner every time. And Milo creates that level of consistency through being predictive and also reliable and non-judgmental, which allows for, if you will, those lessons to be repeated perfectly that garner generalizing, which is really the key.
Plus, he's really cool. Let's let's not leave that part out. But here you are with this education background. What did you recognize were going to be the hurdles that had to be overcome working with students in the spectrum in a classroom? What did you identify for K through 12 that you could see?
Well, interestingly enough, it's not the students where the challenge lies. It really is with us, the adults. Educators are conservative in nature with respect to taking risk, albeit embracing innovation or technology. Special education may be a little bit more guarded. We know that overcoming that risk factor was absolutely critical for us. And so what we needed was success stories. We needed to have clients in the field that were not only using him and using the program, but also achieving the type of results we envisioned. So very important from my perspective as an educator to talk with other educators about the impact, the benefits, the reliability of the technology, the ease of use, the ease of implementation, and probably what has really become extremely important is the data. The fact that data is recorded and analyzed and reported back to the educator that allows them to make instructional decisions on moving forward, repeating, backing up, and whatever is necessary to meet the needs of the student. So I think it's been overcoming the reluctance that many educators have. And I'm very, very intentional about using the word reluctance rather than resistance. And that's from scars that I have proving that technology innovation can be embraced and used. And so I think if that makes sense, it's not the students. The students are naturally curious, irrespective of being neurotypical or neurodiverse. They're curious about the technology, and so they'll embrace that. It was helping the adults overcome some of their inhibitions, some of their risk factors to embrace it, and that's exactly what we've been able to do, and that's why we've achieved the success that we have.
Where is Milo being used currently?
So Milo is in 35 states. 4 provinces across Canada and in every English-speaking country in the world. I would tout and point people to the great state of South Carolina, even though we're a Texas-based company, and we have over 35 ISDs here in Texas that use Milo. But South Carolina took a very aggressive position, very proactive, coming from their State Department of Education, so much so that they started with 15 school districts, and we're now across the state. We have over 70 programs that are being used to meet the needs of students in their public schools, let alone in private therapy and in the home. So, as I mentioned, 35 states looking to expand. We work very, very hard and very thoroughly with state departments of education, also with government at many levels, because seeding the innovation is extremely important, but it's one thing that is a win, irrespective of political affiliation. Being able to provide an effective tool for educators, albeit public, private, charter, has been something that most policymakers at the state level have championed. So we're very, very pleased with that as well.
And for the parents and educators that are watching, what does it look like? Is Milo or one of his brothers or sisters in the classroom? And tell us what it looks like.
So I will paint a picture of 1,000 words.
Thank you.
Very, very quickly. Milo is used differently in almost every implementation, but typically what you would see, if it's in a classroom setting, there would be a space that would be set aside that Milo and a facilitator and a student would interact with Milo. Milo comes, you are able to put earphones on. If the student has the sensory capacity to wear a headset, they can do that. Milo is also used in more of a pull-out setting where there may be a dedicated space somewhere else in a school or in a clinic where a Milo and a facilitator are working that way. Milo can also work in small groups. So if I smile when I say this because one of the traditional pieces of furniture that's almost in every special ed classroom is the infamous kidney-shaped table.
Right.
But you can see Milo with that kidney-shaped table with 3 to 5 students that are interacting with Milo with a facilitator sitting on the other side. We also have whole group or whole class activities that Milo can do. So typically, Milo would be on a table. The student would be sitting across from Milo. That facilitator may be next to Milo, maybe next to the student, or could be behind Milo. And so that facilitator becomes critical because we never have Milo working alone with a student. There will always be a facilitator that will be providing some adult judgment on progressing through a lesson, maybe some redirecting, and sometimes just as a comfort to the student who's working with Milo. So hopefully that it kind of gives you a picture. It's really the creativity of the educator, albeit a special educator or a paraprofessional. It could be a specialist like an occupational therapist, speech-language pathologist, physical therapist. It might be a BCBA or a BCA that is using Milo with a student. So it's almost anything imaginable is how Milo is being used.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And I can't stand it because I can see them in the background.
I know.
Is there any way, do we get to meet any of the new people? The new robots? And see, I automatically, can you tell us who's behind you at least?
So I can, and I will turn just very quickly and bring, so this is, whoops, there we go. This is Robin, and as you and many of your listeners know, children on the spectrum don't necessarily differentiate initially with gender or ethnicity, but it was very important to us to have robots or tools that work and look a lot like our students. So Robin, turning her head, so Robin has a ponytail. And
Okay.
so that's what makes her a little bit different. She does have a female voice, but in the autism program, Milo is Milo. So this is Milo
Got it.
as a female. We put her right here. And then we have the twin brother from a different mother, which is our dark-skinned robot. And again, what we've found, Milo works extremely well. So like in Texas here, we have a very large Hispanic population. And very important with the hue to have a darker-skinned robot. So we have this version of Milo. He too is Milo and works very effectively. We have found, especially in places not just like South Carolina, but the city of Philadelphia, our friends in Miami, it was very important to have a robot of color, which we do. And
Absolutely.
so that's the twin brother from a different mother and the twin sister. So Milo in the female version is being used. We beta tested her in South Carolina and received tremendous accolades because the young ladies, especially working with Milo, and their parent or learner guardian really appreciated having her.
Yeah, absolutely. I love your sensitivity to the fact that children are going to want to respond to robots that resemble them.
Right.
I mean, come on, it's just a thing. So I appreciate you guys being sensitive to that. We're really out of time, but I just want to go visit your workshop and stay there forever. That's how I feel. But how can people find out more about RoboKind if they're like me and want more of this?
Literally, robokind.com. If they just reach out to us on the website, robokind, .com, they can get up with any number of our folks here and any of their we love questions. Questions are our friends. So we love people reaching out to us and asking us questions. We also have certainly the ability to demonstrate and do some presentations virtually. So we've tried to use technology as again, that tool, that bridge that really helps us connect with individuals. We admire and appreciate so deeply our parents. And like you, I am touched weekly by stories from parents that tell us that there's breakthroughs that are occurring with their children, which really just warms our heart and reaffirms what we're doing.
Well, it's a terrific program, and we want to thank you for joining us today, Dr. Firn.
You're welcome. Thank you for allowing us. And again, I appreciate Milo allowing me to do the speaking today, but we love him doing the speaking as well. So thank you very much and appreciate what you do. Anytime, let us know how we can assist.
Okay, thank you.
I love that. Thank you so much. Always thrilled to have you on the show.
Yes.